And we are on the hunt here at FoxNews.com Live. Hello, everybody. I'm Jonathan Hunt. Let's get straight into politics today. Joining me from our D.C. bureau is former Gore presidential campaign staffer Sasha Burns. Good to see you, Sasha. We're waiting for Ed Pozzuoli, former advisor to Jon Huntsman's presidential campaign, to join us from Miami. Should be here in just a couple of moments. Little technical difficulty down in the Florida sunshine. But Sasha, while I've got you here, you are ready, prepared, and willing to take on Mitt Romney now. He's your man.
If you want, Jonathan, I will debate both sides until we get him.
I fear for your schizophrenia sometimes anyway, so why don't you just talk amongst yourself?
You got it. We will. So Mitt Romney, is that the question?
What? Sorry, I was just being talked to by the producer who tells me that Ed Pozzuoli is ready, Sasha. But yeah, first of all, let me go on with you, Sasha. Mitt Romney has got this sewn up. You see no chance whatsoever that your chosen candidate, President Obama, will be facing anybody but Romney?
I mean, it looks that way. I think anybody who looks at the math, who looks at the momentum, who looks at all of it would and does say that it's clear that he has it sewn up. I think where Santorum really can still have an effect is with influencing the conservative platform. And if I were his advisors, I would be telling him to get out of Pennsylvania right now and cut a deal and say, I'll get out. It's good for Romney. It's good for the party. But here's what I want in return.
Ed, thank you for being here. Good morning from Miami.
Good morning.
Good to have you here. Should Rick Santorum get out of this race right now and sort of try to just influence the party platform rather than still partaking in what seems to be a pretty hopeless search for delegates?
You know, he needs to get out either now or right after the Pennsylvania primary. I think he's earned the right to decide the right time, but I would suggest that at the latest, at the end of after the Pennsylvania primary, at the latest, because we need to focus in on the distinctions between what will be our nominee, Mitt Romney, and the president.
Ed, a lot of people would be saying that, or a lot of Romney's critics might be saying that the distinctions aren't that great, and that is one of Mitt Romney's weaknesses as a candidate. What say you?
I say the distinctions are large and wide. Just look at the two candidates' background. I mean, you're talking about someone in Mitt Romney who's essentially living the American dream, has built businesses, has a proven record of public service with no benefit to himself, who has an understanding of what the economy is, and what's most important, who has an understanding about creating jobs, what the marketplace how the marketplace works. Let's take gasoline prices as an example. You know, why are they so high? I mean, and why are we suffering so much when everybody else, well, when the Obama administration is trying to spin that the economy is getting better?
Sasha, the stark differences to be drawn between President Obama and Mitt Romney comes out on the right side of those differences.
Slightly. You know, the Republicans in the primary will go only so far as to say he's a moderate Republican, but I would say he's a very liberal Republican when you consider that, you know, come on, the key health care reform bill that the Republicans hate so much, we all know was modeled on Mitt Romney's. So he is, I mean, he's not terribly conservative, and that's really where Santorum and conservatives have a chance to try to get in there and make some inroads for their platform. But, you know, in terms of what his abilities are, it's great that he's so successful. I mean, that is what we all aspire to. It's the American dream. But it didn't transfer into success as a governor. When he was governor of Massachusetts, as we've all heard, Massachusetts was in the lowest in terms of job creation. So, you know, the ability to create money for yourself in no way shows that he will be able to do that for the country.
Sasha, one of our viewers here, All for Jury, asking if you believe that the ads, the pro-Obama ads currently being run might turn off independent voters this early if they keep going all the way through June. I guess he's talking about just voter fatigue.
Well, I think voter fatigue is an absolute. I mean, for those of us who live in, well, I live in D.C., so it's not a swing state, but I'm from a swing state, and you get so sick of those. But in terms of the content of them, no. I mean, what has been very clear in this primary is the longer it goes on, which is why Republicans want Santorum out, the worse that Romney does, especially with independents. And when you look at all the polls, President Obama is still beating Romney, and his numbers rise among independents, and especially among independent women voters, and that is key.
So, Ed, what do you make of all the advertising, all the money going into this early on? I guess that's one of the keys for Mitt Romney as well, and one of the arguments, as some of our viewers are saying here, for Rick Santorum, who, in the words of Charles Reese, should pack his bags and hit the road. Laurie says he should get out, take on the role of the party uniter. He could be the hero here. If he were to do that, he also enables Mitt Romney to focus on fundraising, which is going to be critical, isn't it?
Well, fundraising and message. I think there's, right now, the primary is essentially over, and Rick Santorum can play the role as party uniter. And I think that would be a very appropriate role. I think he's earned the role in uniting the party, and I hope he does that. On the other hand, this opportunity gives Mitt Romney a greater focus on defeating the president in November. Because at the end of the day, the primary is now essentially over. But Republicans are fully united in making sure that President Obama does not win a second term.
Sasha, one of our viewers here, Sarah West, says she thinks that this general election is going to be a lot like Kerry versus Bush in 2004, although I assume she's suggesting that Mitt Romney might be playing the John Kerry role here, one, taking on an incumbent president, and two, perhaps looking like a very wealthy guy slightly out of touch with real America. Is that a fair comparison?
Although Romney was doing something very sporty the other day that really surprised me. I don't think it was windsurfing, but it was he surfing? It was
he
something.
Was surfing.
He looked very
yes,
tough.
He was
right?
surfing off of his $3 million home in La Jolla, California, or wherever.
I think he should show more of that, though. I mean, I thought, wow, that's kind of cool. It's not something I would have thought. But in terms of the election, that's a really good point. I mean, what you have, as you did in that race, was the two sides that are very firmly entrenched. The Republicans are desperate to defeat President Obama, and the Democrats support President Obama and know that we don't want to turn back to Republican policies. But I would say that when you look at that, the key is that both sides, as then, get about 48% automatically, right? You have the Republican side, you have the Democrat. And what matters is the independents, the swing voters like we talk about, but then also women and Hispanics. And we've all seen these numbers that Obama is beating, and the Democrats in general, among women by 20%. I mean, that's huge, huge 20%. With Hispanics, it's 3-to-1 for Democrats and President Obama. And those are the key places that take you from that 48% base to about 51 or 52 that you need to win.
Ed, what about the, going back to what Sasha was saying about the surfing Mitt Romney, what about the sort of identification with the common man, as it were? Mitt Romney doesn't seem to have a whole lot of it. And I think there was a new sort of likability poll out today showing President Obama far ahead of Mitt Romney in the pure likability stakes, and that is an issue that matters, isn't it?
It's an issue that matters, but let me go back to the comparison that you had with the Bush-Kerry race. The difference between 2004 and 2000 is that George Bush was able to turn out a lot more voters than he did in 2004 than he did in 2000. The Democrat, John Kerry, produced basically the same number of votes as Al Gore did the election before. The difference was Republicans turned out for George W. the second time around far greater than in 2000. In this case, in this race, what we're going to see is who is more motivated. And at the end of the day, I think Republicans will galvanize around electing Mitt Romney because they do not want a second term of President Obama. Now, with respect to the common touch, I think that, and women, I think that Mitt Romney has an ace to play, and that's Ann Romney.
And Sasha, is Ann Romney a real ace to play here? Does she make that much of a difference? The women's vote is, there does seem to be a gap in that right now.
Well, I mean, every time I see her, I think that, you know, Mitt Romney, there must be something, you know, some personality there, because she seems to have one. I think she's great, but I mean, you know, how much effect does it really have? Not that much. And to Ed's point, I think that is conventional wisdom about getting out the base for winning the election. I think that's true, but I think that is the key flaw of Mitt Romney. More than likability, it's that he's not conservative, that he has no core principles. I mean, he not only said he was pro-choice, he said he would advocate for abortion rights, that he would advocate for gay rights. He created the basis of the Obama health care reform. I mean, he's not only not solidly conservative, he will flip from one side all the way to the other. And I think you've got a real difficulty there in terms of turning out your evangelicals and hardcore Christian base, hardcore Republican base, because they don't trust him.
He's a flip-flopper who can't be trusted, Ed.
Well, Sasha Felsted, if you look at the primary results, I think Mitt Romney's done quite well with the evangelical voters and with women voters. The difference now is that we're now moving away from an intramural fight now to the real fight, and Mitt Romney is perfectly situated, in my view, to in a small pivot and attack what has been a Democratic machine to try to paint Republicans as anti-women. And so what we're going to see now is Mitt Romney will be able to go in and reach into, in my belief, independent, soft Republican and soft Democrat women, suburban women, and I think that's the key. The attack on the Catholic Church by the Obama administration and the restrictions of religious freedoms that the government is trying to impose, I think plays big time with many women who want their individual rights protected from an over-intrusive government, which frankly has been the Obama administration on many issues.
All right, before I let you guys go...
Except that hasn't happened. I mean, the opposite has happened.
All right, I've got a two-word answer from both of you. Ed, who do you want to see as Mitt Romney's vice presidential running mate? Sasha, secondly, who do you fear as Mitt Romney's running mate? Ed, you first.
Jeb Bush.
Sasha?
Fear no one.
Both of those were two words, although yours, I believe no one is hyphenated, but we'll give you a pass on that, Sasha. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Sasha Burns, former Al Gore presidential campaign staffer, and Ed Pozzuoli, former Huntsman advisor for John Huntsman's presidential campaign. Great to have you both here. Thank you very much indeed.
You too. Thanks. Thanks, Ed.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, I want to get to Catherine Herridge now, who has a fascinating story about a hacker. When you think of a high-level hacker, what do you normally think of? Some young dude in his mother's basement in a baseball cap, not a sweet swine pork rinds baseball cap. We'll get to that later. That's all to do with the lottery.